When you fly on one of Ethiopian Airlines' 787s in business class, you might find yourself in one of 3 different types of seats, and you never really know which it's going to be. They range from the perfectly acceptable to the truly terrible. So today I'm bringing you along on the rest of my Ethiopian Airlines trip to Cape Town and back, 3 flights on 787s going Addis, Cape Town, Addis, Stockholm. For those of you who think that injecting any criticisms into a review is complaining rather than the whole point of a review, to point out the good and the bad, however little, well, get ready to add some nasty comments under this video. To those of you who just want to find out what you may be in for when booking the Ethiopian 787, again, the good and the bad, the range of seat options and how to avoid the worst, plus those of you teetering on the edge maybe of booking an Ethiopian business ticket and wondering whether it's a good idea, whether it's a good place to put your money, this one's for you. Next leg of Ethiopian Airlines adventure now, 787-9 down to Cape Town from Addis Ababa. Another 6.5-hour flight, I think, similar to what I just did coming down from London to Addis. Dirty windows and glare aren't gonna help. Curious to see. I guess I'll have a seatmate. This is the reality on the 787 with Ethiopian. How will it be? I like having my own space, especially for filming, you know? Wow, what do you know? I'm lucky today and I got the reverse herringbone seats with direct aisle access for all. This is the best possible result on an Ethiopian 787 at the moment. Okay, so as we depart on this one, let's go down the list of the different seats Ethiopian has in their 787 business class, what to know about them, and which aircraft have them. As I mentioned, there's this reverse herringbone seat in a 1-2-1 configuration, which is the best possible result on the 787 fleet. These are only found on the 787-9, and only 4 aircraft have them right now, so I am indeed lucky today. After that, the remainder of the 787-9 fleet, 6 airplanes, have a 2-2-2 lie-flat seat, similar to what you'll find on some United and American narrow-body flights. You can also see that seat in action on my Vistara A321neo flight video from a couple of months back. I'll put a link up in the corner. You'll find those same seats on some of the 787-8 fleet. That's the best-case scenario if you end up on the 8. That seat is on 9 of those in total. Finally, you have the absolutely terrible seat found on 10 of the 787-8 fleet, so a majority technically, which I ended up with on the last leg of this one, which is also 2x2x2, but isn't even a lay-flat seat. Instead, it's angled flat. You may notice it's very similar to the seat on Air India that I tried out recently, and it is. The big difference is that these are spaced closer together, so you don't have the room to lie flat. It makes a huge difference. Whereas I slept well on the Air India version, despite it all feeling pretty retro, on Ethiopians you have to play that game where you slide down toward the footrest gradually and have to wake up every 10 minutes to reposition yourself. It's obviously better than economy, but if you ask me, not by much. At least in economy there's no sliding. It's unbelievable to me that they aren't rushing to swap out this dreadfully uncompetitive product ASAP. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get going to Cape Town. Alright, so this is the most surprised I've been on an airline boarding a flight in I don't know how long, as long as I can remember. I thought for sure that all the 787s at Ethiopian had seats that were 2x2x2, and here we have beautiful reverse herringbone single seats. I don't have a seatmate. That's amazing. And good vibe on this one, actually better vibe than the last one. Crew seems a bit better just from initial first impression. Also, I like the red amenity kit. I do wish I had a chance to spend 24 hours at least in Addis. It's a country I haven't been to, a city I haven't been to, and it looks cool, it looks interesting. I guess it's at a kind of high elevation. It's not super warm. They said it was 10 degrees Celsius when we were landing, and it looks very interesting, kind of hilly. Yeah, it's like something totally different. I don't know much about it. Have any of you been to Addis? Let me know what you think. Is it worth scheduling in a visit next time?
በምስሉ ላይ እንደሚታየው ያላቆናቶ ሲባል በተቀመጡበት ጊዜ ሁሉ የመቀመጫ ቀበቶች
Okay, so Ethiopian needs a redo on its safety video with a little bit more production value, because this doesn't cut it for the brand image it wants to present. The lighting is crazy and the camera shake too. I guess it's different at least. Makes it memorable, makes it stick out. But I would change it. I do hope they keep Smokey Joe here though, if they do a new one. The man is a legend.
Take a moment now to locate the nearest sign, which may I would like nothing more than for Ethiopian to surprise and impress me for the rest of this trip, but although I'm liking the overall feeling of this cabin and everything is quite comfortable, things initially go a bit downhill with the lunch service. This salad is looking very tired. I don't really trust these eggs, and nor do I trust this tuna. I leave most of it untouched, which I almost never do on an airplane. Good news though, because on most flights out of Addis, you get to order injera, the traditional Ethiopian cuisine. Now we're talking. This was excellent, something really unique, and something I would honestly consider booking another flight out of Addis for. There's even saucy chicken legs in here which you're supposed to eat with your hands. I love how impractical yet fun that is on an airplane. And it's great because it's a local thing. I've never been to Ethiopia, but I'm getting a chance to get a little taste of what they eat and how they do things. That's something that I really love getting to do on a flight. Here's what I don't get though. Why is this just an intermediate course between non-Ethiopian food options, and more importantly, why don't they cater it for the return legs from outstations too? There may be a practical reason for this, but I hope it's a really good one, because it is by far the highlight of a flight on ET if you ask me, and I only got it on one of my 4 segments on this ticket. I think that's such a missed opportunity, and the rest of the food is just very average and forgettable, and in some cases really not good at all. After the food, as I'm pretty sleep deprived from the flight the prior evening, the A350, it's time to try and rest, if this massive gap between the seat cushions doesn't spoil my plans. Oh man, that's not gonna be good. Maybe I can cover it with a pillow? This gap was not due to a broken seat from what I could tell. My next flight had the same thing. It wasn't such a big deal, but it was a potential liability. The rest of this flight passed by uneventfully with some really nice views of Africa below. I'll give you my overall thoughts so far after landing into always stunning Cape Town.
There is good temperature, 26 degrees centigrade. We hope you enjoyed the flight. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you to Belfast again. Thank you. Have a nice day.
So another kind of middle-of-the-road experience with Ethiopian. It was fine, but unspectacular. I see a lot of things that could be fixed to make it that next level up. Still, when the price is right, like it was this time, it's a pretty good option. and they have amazing coverage all over Africa and more. So, not discounting it. I won't actively avoid them, but I won't look to fly with them in the future either. But the fun is not over because I've got 2 787 flights left, and I think it makes sense to include those when I go back via Addis and then straight up to Stockholm. We'll put that into this video as well so that you can get more of a sample size, cross-section of what they're offering. I'm curious, in about 10 days' time, let's see if the flights are any different or if it kind of carries this common theme that I'm seeing throughout of, you know, pretty good, but not quite there. And I hope I get one of these seats on the way back. Again, I definitely won't get it on the one to Stockholm, which is always 222, I think. Anyway, thanks for coming along so far. I'm about to do this whole Antarctica thing, so you'll see lots of content from there, probably on both channels and elsewhere. But I'll be back in this video in the matter of a few seconds with the return journey. So just stay tuned. We'll bring it to you right now. Alright, welcome back on board Ethiopian Airlines. We're on the 787-9 again, and once more lucky with the reverse herringbone configuration, which is not on every single one of these. So you never know what you're getting. That's one of the drawbacks, but also things can work out in your favor, like today. It was showing the denser, older seat configuration on this one up until yesterday, and today when I checked, it was this, where you get your own space, reverse herringbone, perfectly comfortable. On my flight down, the seat was a little bit looking like it's seen better days, but what can you do? It's still a pretty comfortable place to spend a 6-ish hour flight, and that's what we have ahead of us from Cape Town to Addis. I'm not gonna go super in depth on this one because I just did on the flight down, but I will make sure to film the important bits, and I'm looking especially to note where things are better, where things are worse, because for me the jury's still out on Ethiopian. They're definitely not at the quality level of some of my favorite airlines, I think, from my flights so far with them. But I get the sense that it could vary, so it's nice to take a few different flights. And then later tonight, flying up to Stockholm on the 787-8, which is likely to have the angled flat seats. Only downside of getting the Dash 9 now is that I've managed to end up in the same row 5 seat that I had coming down, which is missing a window. It's still enough to film, but I don't have that nice second window to look out of and film with the other camera, etc. So when I was assigning my seat, I forgot all about that, including the possibility that it might swap to the reverse herringbone. So, whatever, we make do. Yeah, what is with the massive gap between back portion and seat portion of the seats on these? Is that a design feature? Because this one looks pretty new and unscuffed, but yeah, that is present just like in the other one, which looked a bit more rough around the edges, a little bit older, so who knows. Also, I'm having a pretty good hair day, so I don't want to put on the hat too much, but I really do like this hat. How cool is that?
Only stressful bit now is we're an hour delayed, which has reduced my Stockholm connection to about 12 minutes, no joke. Do you think I'll make it?
Important to hydrate well, folks, even on the newer aircraft. Keep drinking that water. Two amazing views of the Cape, Western Cape,
in a row coming in on the A340. Amazing, unusual view on the right side from out on the ocean of the whole of Table Mountain and everything. That whole right down to the Cape of Good Hope. And then today we did a right turn, which I've never done before, after takeoff toward the south, which meant we got that flyover left side Table Mountain view and quite a bit of Cape Town City too. The sun's on this side is the only drawback, but man, amazing, amazing, amazing. Just endless beauty here around Cape Town. And lucky turns, lucky vectoring on the airplanes. The reason I take my glasses off often in the shot is because there's quite a bit of glare on the screens. It looks kind of stupid, and you can't see my eyes. So I still haven't really made peace with the fact that I wear glasses. After almost 7 years, maybe 6 or 7 years. Crazy.
This time the crew is quite nice, but inconsistent as on the other flights. Some seem better at what they do than others. The starter offerings are much better this time, but I'm sad not to have injera on the menu. I didn't want to drink alcohol, so I had the choice of basically juice, water, and non-alcoholic beer. I miss the tasty mocktails, which only appeared on the A350 flight for some reason. Those were really nice. This chicken stew is not bad at all, but it's not very interesting, nor is it Ethiopian. And that's a first, being offered a whole kiwi after dinner. Sure, why not? Anyway, this is once again a solid place to relax. I watched some episodes of shows on my phone, and then we're descending into Addis. What surprised me though was that not a single announcement was made about connections, and what they might be doing to help us make them. So many people on Ethiopian flights are connecting somewhere else, so I just assumed they'd be proactive about this, or at least give some words of reassurance. But not a word, and when I asked the flight attendant what she thought about my chances at making my connection, she simply offered, "We will pray." Yeah, that doesn't help allay my concerns or really do much for me, though the humor is appreciated, I guess, somewhat.
Okay, so as of now I have 10 minutes to catch my flight to Stockholm. It's not looking too good. They haven't said anything about connections. I don't know, I'm in the dark. I don't have internet. The Wi-Fi didn't work for the last half of the flight. Not great. And oh my god, it's a bus gate. I'm parking at a remote stand. That pretty much seals my fate, unless the Stockholm flight is also delayed by at least 20-30 minutes.
I try not to get too stressed about this sort of thing and just take things as they come and make the best of it. I think that's really important when doing lots of traveling like this. But I do really want to get home tonight. I've been away a long time and I'm not in the mood to get stuck here for an extra 24 hours. Anyway, I'm gonna hope for the best here.
Not what I need at midnight. Oh man, made it. The bag started falling apart the last second. What a thing to have happen. Just opened right up.
And here we have the dreaded angled flat seats. But I'm really happy to see this plane and get onto it, to get home as planned.
Okay, on the plus side, it took 15 minutes from parking up at the remote stand to getting here to the Stockholm flight. So the size of this airport, the small size, does have its advantages. And at least there was a guy at the bottom of the stairs calling out Stockholm Oslo, so I had a sense that they were at least aware of the fact that we were at risk of misconnecting and they were aware of us being there. So that was a bit of reassurance. But then we just kept getting told to hurry up, and I'm out of breath still from that. They just kept saying, hurry up, hurry up. It's like, as we board the bus. Why don't you hurry up? Hurry up your flights and don't put us at a bus gate. You know? We had to hurry up onto the bus and stand there for 5 minutes. To their credit, they got it off pretty quick. And luckily the transit security was basically deserted, because otherwise, I don't know. Would they have facilitated us getting through? And then more, hurry up. Like, okay, so I had to run to this gate. And now meanwhile, we're just sitting here. if they knew that we were going to be sitting here until a certain time, it might have been nice to know, hey, you don't have to sprint across the airport wearing your heavy bag at midnight. Generally just fairly incompetent kind of communication, I would say. Delays happen, you have to rush for your connection, that's a fact of travel, but just the kind of weird communication. And then you have to take your shoes off at transit security. It's like, did you not get the memo? We've moved past that in most places. I don't know, just kind of vaguely annoying. And now I managed to select a seat without a window. At least I have one forward, but I can't just glance out at the engine. And then I saw her bringing waters to other passengers that got on, but not to me. I should add, I'm annoyed by the sort of general kind of mediocrity of the Ethiopian Airlines experience. Despite some positives, I'll give them some. It's not all bad, but I'm super grateful to have made it onto this flight. I did not want to get stuck here overnight, figure out the transit hotel and have a day. I mean, it would have been kind of cool to see Addis for a day, but I'm not in that mood. I'm tired. I want to get home. Been away a while, and so it's so nice that I'm sitting on this flight now, even if it's a bit delayed now. Very relieved.
On this late flight, they offered a kind of selection of small things which you could pick and choose from. That seems like a good move. It simplifies things. There's no multi-course thing this time. You can just grab a bite and get to bed. I'm a fan of this. Never mind that it turns out it's close to impossible to sleep in these seats. This presentation, meanwhile, is not the most exciting, but I will give them this. These were both pretty tasty, and when I asked for a second round of the sandwiches, they obliged. For me, this was actually the most successful meal service of the whole trip on Ethiopian, with the exception of that highlight moment with the injera. So yeah, this is the seat you don't want to get, but if you're on the 8, it's a pretty good likelihood that you will. On a day flight, it's probably alright, but not for an overnight. I'm just glad this flight isn't any longer. I do manage about 3 hours of fitful sleep, and then I have just enough time for some breakfast. But I did have to go up to the galley and ask them about it. No one was about to come and offer it when they noticed I woke up. Again, these are the sorts of things that separate the best airlines from the average ones. And here we are in chilly, dark Stockholm. Alright, so I made it back to Sweden. 4 Ethiopian flights, and how to summarize. It's sadly just so mediocre to poor in some cases. Moments of fine, good even. Some flight attendants are nice. Very few seem well trained. And it just shows that it's not a very well-oiled, professional, high-end operation, especially in business class where you can end up with this seat on the 787-8 where it's profoundly uncomfortable to try and sleep. Again, I'm talking about this in the context of business class, okay? It was still way better than economy, of course, but you're paying for business class, right? And the icing on the cake with Ethiopian is that their lowest fares, which are very good, don't earn any miles. Where you might pay $2,000 round trip for business class to South Africa and earn 0 miles, whereas if you had bought a $1,000 economy round trip, you would earn miles. It's just irritating to me, and I would not book those fares. So yeah, unfortunately, I want to like Ethiopian, but the transit experience is not nice. The seating products are unpredictable. Food is very so-so. If you can't get the injera, which I only had on 1 out of 4 flights, the service is also all over the place. From just reasonably nice and caring to just non-existent. So I would avoid Ethiopian in the future at almost all costs, unless there really wasn't another option that was somewhat close in total travel time and price. If they were the much quicker option and much, much cheaper, I would consider them again, but otherwise I'd be avoiding them. Another hilarious thing was this flight continues to Oslo, and when I was waiting at the door for it to open, I saw the gate agent from Arlanda come in, and he said to the Ethiopian flight attendant at the door, he said, "Did you tell them it was Sweden? Did you say welcome to Arlanda, Stockholm, Sweden? And did you tell them this is not Oslo?" He's like really trying to make sure with that. And clearly they must have so many people just wandering off the plane in a stupor, thinking it might as well be Oslo. And she said, yeah. And he said, "Good. Make sure you check everybody as they come off." And she's like, sure. And then, of course, did not let us go and did not check anybody. So it's that kind of level of attention and care, I think, that you get from Ethiopian. Just kind of half-assed, unfortunately. It's sad because they have a really nice network, some nice A350s. Yeah. They seem to have also the most uncomfortable version of all their seats. Even though I ended up on some of the newer seats, they were all kind of somewhat inferior or broken or just crappy looking. So that's it. I'm glad to be back in Sweden in any case. Gonna hunker down now for the dark December season, heading into Christmas. Looking forward to not flying for maybe 30 days or so. A nice break from the air and getting some editing done. I'll see you next time.